All right, y'all, we're back. The Bearded Bros Golf Show for another week. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Um, I said we had a pretty big week to cover, but we'll see how we chop through these topics. We'll just kind of go in order of how the week developed. Early on, or I kind of teased it last week that PGA Tour board member resigned as a result of the framework of the deal. Former executive for AT&T had been on the PGA board for 12 years, just said he could not get behind the framework. And then we had the subsequent Senate hearing, which I got to watch a couple of hours of it. And kind of with the government, things were a joke. Just people completely up their grandstanding. And, they had a couple of pre-released documents that came out before the hearing, which were very interesting. And we're going to kind of go through some of the minutiae of that. But what do you think about the PGA Tour board member resigning after 12 years, just saying he couldn't get behind the framework? And just kind of add some more color. I mean, it truly is a framework. When we get into the detail of it, there's really not much that's solid on this deal. So tell me what you think about that resignation leading into that.
I think it's goofy. I mean, to be honest, it's like at this point, brother, as an AT&T executive, and as a person that is on the PGA board, you have seen enough funny money. You have seen enough funny dealings to all of a sudden for you to be playing, morality police and stuff like that. I mean, it's just goofy to me. But, to each their own, and I respect their again, this is kind of like what's about to happen with what's his face? The PGA guy. He's probably got some money stowed away anyway, so he can ride off into the sunset.
You talking about Jay Monahan?
Yes. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name, but
Okay. Who's set to make his return tomorrow back to PGA Tour business?
Hopefully just to announce his resignation as well.
Yeah, he's garbage. And I think it speaks to overall, just when people get too close to the top, they lose perspective overall and just kind of, what the rank and file deal with, and decisions are made on high, and they don't necessarily equate to the best long term. I mean, financially, they probably make a lot of sense getting money in from the PIF, but it was very interesting to hear Jimmy Dunn, and I think I'm going to screw up his first name. I think it's Ron something Price, who's the CEO of, or COO of the PGA Tour, speaking about the deal and how fuzzy things are. And it's pretty much an agreement to talk about an agreement. So, it really makes you rewind back to when the announcement was made and the rush to an announcement. And it's even talked about trying to get a softball interview lined up. So the CNBC reporter who ended up taking that interview probably feels like crap at this point, knowing that they were the softball interview that ended up getting lined up, at short notice to announce the announcement of talks, essentially. So I mean, I'm different on the AT&T exec. If I don't know, who knows the level of involvement, and if there's if he's in every single decision. But yeah, I'm sure he's seen some funny stuff. But for him to finally take a stance, he's probably ready to retire, do whatever, right off into the sunset. So it's probably no big deal on his end. He's probably been collecting pretty decent sized checks between AT&T and this PGA board member spot. So messing with all the morality stuff, I get it. But if it's legit, kudos to you, bro, for having a conscience of yourself. But it also made me think about how unserious and how this whole thing might blow up, and it to be for naught. So let's get into some of the kind of best of both worlds document that came out. And when I repost this, outside of the live environment, maybe post a clip, I'll post the document. But Tiger and Rory would each own their live teams. Yeah. So very interesting, because some of the internal conversation on the live side is that they had no desire to work with Rory in any capacity. Called him a bitch, I think, as well. which is very interesting, and that Tiger and Rory would play 10 live events. So for me, I was like, this is the most unserious conversation. Tiger cannot even play the four majors that he said he was going to commit to playing, doing worse this year than he did last year. And
Right.
so 10 live events, bro. I mean, and that
Yeah.
doesn't include the majors. How unserious were these conversations for that to even be a part of it?
10 what? Like, bro, what? 10 appearances, maybe? Like, what? What you
Right,
talking
hosting
about,
10
bro?
events, but actually tee it up, even if it's a 54 hole event with no cut. I'm sorry. Tiger cannot drag
Nah.
that leg around for that many events.
He better
I,
be in the
I don't
cart.
know. This is true. I mean, we are talking live now, so I'm sure the rules can be bent. I guess maybe if you just have
Yeah.
to walk up to some greens and you're able to hop out the cart right there at your ball. Maybe
Facts.
maybe there's something to that, and there's some merit to that. I'm very interested if we find out down the line that um, Tiger and Rory were involved on some level. It
Yeah.
was very. They did mention that Rory had talks with Ramayan, whatever his name is, the dude from the PIF who was out there trying to get a Augusta National membership and a RNA membership in the deal as well. Can't fault that man for trying to get a
Just
lifetime Augusta
thirsty.
National as hell. Very, very thirsty. Yeah, so he also two elevated events would be branded under Aramco or PIF flags, and there would be a Live PGA LPGA Superstar Global team with 16 captains, a live draft. This is all feeling very social media
Yeah.
driven. I don't know, man. What do you think this is ever going to happen? What are your thoughts on it at this point with all this additional information that we received this week?
I mean, I think it'll finally fall through, but hopefully not under this, guys. Hopefully not under this. I mean, this is just I don't know. I mean, this is just as scripted and as joked out as you can get. I mean, this is just dumb. But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I don't know if these are the high points. What are they eventually? I mean, most of this is unrealistic.
yeah, like I keep just reading through it, and I'm like, Tiger and Rory each owning their own live teams. Like that's a joke in itself because like, who are they gonna pick up? Like Tiger's gonna pick up a bunch of old guys. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean,
Right? I don't know, man. I
it's got to
just
be a serious amount of money for these guys to be sitting here talking about he wants a membership to Augusta and stuff like that. Like he's got to be. I mean, I know it's crazy money, but like this has got to be some serious money that he's trying to throw into this to be expecting all this stuff back. Then having events in Saudi Arabia under the flag. Yeah, this is a lot of money from them to
I
just be
mean,
like, yo, like we're gonna take over this shit. Like literally.
yeah,
That's what it looks like to
it's
me.
very interesting. You mentioned the kind of in Saudi Arabia. So I saw something. I can't remember where I saw it, but one of the season-ending live events was flipped over back to like Trump Doral, and it was supposed to end at like the Jeddah Greens and Country Club, but
Mhm.
they changed it, and I think it was largely due to perception. So, if sports washing was a large part of what they were trying to accomplish with this, even in their eyes, they must see it as a failure if they're having to mid-season change the location of events to kind of make it look clean at this point. So
Exactly.
I'm not optimistic about this shit happening, which will bode very interestingly for kind of the elevated events. I mean, the PGA Tour's got to be kind of now that we're halfway through the year or beyond halfway through the year, trying to plan for event sites for next year,
Yeah.
line up sponsorships, and this all being very fluid. I think the coming weeks we will have a very good indication of where things are headed or if it's going to fall through or not, especially with Jay Monahan returning to work tomorrow. I think this thing either has to get closed out pretty quickly and the details have to get solidified, or nothing's going to change from this current year. That's just my feeling on it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, they have. I mean, it's July. You got playoffs in August, finishing up in September, Ryder Cup September, and then after that, what? October, November, December, all can be your deciding months of like serious litigation or whatever you want to do. So, but
Yeah.
behind the scenes, I feel like for sure, like they need to get something a little bit more concrete to get this to, eventually be able to fall through, because like, I mean, well, not fall through, I mean, for it to not fall through, like I feel
Yeah.
like, you know it's just like what you said. I mean, if it's not happening very soon, then they're not serious about it, because if they were serious about it, they would have had some better inning workings already kind of organized, and whatever their counter pitch was for the first original plan, I think they would have had something on board already. But you
Yeah.
know,
I,
Jay
I think
Monahan
there's
wasn't here,
some.
so we put it on the back burner. Oh, what?
Yeah, I think there were some rumors that John Rahm was close to jumping ship, and I feel like there may be some merit to that. And the PGA Tour was like, "Damn, we cannot lose." One of the hottest players in the game. And honestly, since that point, Rahm's been pretty quiet. Honestly, in the last month and change, you haven't heard much from him. He hasn't been playing at all,
Yeah,
unless I missed him and he just had a trash ass performance. He didn't play in the Scottish Open, so I'm yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the end of the year winds down. Who's quiet? Who's out there making noise? Very cool to see our guy Rory over at the Scottish Open winning this weekend.
finally.
Finally, I question the timing. Winning before a major to me doesn't seem like the greatest move. It's again tough to win 2 weeks in a row. I was hoping that he played very well and just didn't get it at the end.
Yeah.
The other guy was McIntyre. Is that his?
Yep. Robert McIntyre, but
Played.
Bob for short.
Yeah. Played well, and he's been playing well, honestly, on the DP Tour all year. I've seen his name near the top of leaderboards, but he had a clutch birdie on 18. Rory super clutch on 17 and 18, pulling off the birdies. An incredible iron shot on that par three number 17, and a
Yeah.
clutch putt after waiting like forever on the green on 18. I mean, Tom Kim. I don't know, man. I love Tom Kim, but just as a side note, dude was taking a crap ton of time over shots this weekend, and him being in the featured group at the end. I was like, yeah, he's kind of a slow player, especially on the greens. A lot of
Very
second guessing,
deliberate.
calling in the caddy for reads. I was disappointed in that. So what do you think about Rory? I know you sent an inappropriate description of that shot in.
Whoa,
So
brother.
I mean, but it was a heck of a shot. But what do you think about Rory finally getting over the hump?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, you could see it in his eyes. I mean, he kind of tried to laugh it off, but it was a lot of relief. He finally won again. I mean, they said it was something like 7 years in Europe since he's won over there. So yeah, it really was a great story. And again, he got interviewed afterwards. They said this is the only player that's won the Open, the Scottish, and the Irish all together. Nobody else has done it. But I think with Rory being who he is, I think it actually might be a good momentum boost for him next week. I feel like, he's old enough and mature enough to where he can kind of, even out those emotions and not get too overexerted. And I feel like it'll give him a nice little warm up for his next event, especially since it's somewhere where he's already won. I mean, that's where he won his Open
Yeah,
at Royal Liverpool at Hoylake. So I think it'll be a good look for him. Now,
yeah,
but I mean, yeah, you definitely have all the facts in the world about how it happens when you win the week before a major. It's not good, but when you're a fan of somebody, you hope for the best. So I'm gonna hope
Yeah.
for the best for Rory.
Let's look at it optimistically. Maybe it's him, again, like you said, relieving the pressure valve, getting that monkey off of his back, and hopefully he's able to compete. Like you said,
Right.
hopefully the good memories come back. He's able to keep the swing thoughts that, helped him stay at the top of the leaderboard. I mean, he was pretty
Absolutely.
much, leading the entire tournament. And so to close it out, he didn't have the greatest front nine to start, but really closed it out on the back nine, got that momentum, tough
Definitely.
conditions, windy, cold.
Yeah,
So
insane.
it was like crazy, again, that contributed to some of the slow play on the greens with balls moving and whatnot. So shout out to Rory for doing his thing. And, well, good tidings to him. Links Golf is where it's at. So that's my background. We have, I think it's Port Rush on my background. I could be mistaken. I forget what I saved. But, I like links in small doses. I couldn't deal with it all year. Um, on TV, it's so hard. You just see a little speck of green out there with all the different
It's
undulations,
insane.
and it just looks crazy on
Yeah.
TV. So, would love to see one of those courses in person, like True Link style. What we get over here in the U.S. is not fully True Link style. It's just different types of grass, so you can't really fully authenticate it. So it'd be interesting to see it in person and kind of walk a course like that and then contrast it with what we see on TV down the road. So
Absolutely.
shout out to Rory. Hopefully, it's a good tournament next week. I'm really jazzed about it. Looking forward to staying up late, waking up early to catch some golf. That's exciting stuff for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Same.
So over on the LPGA, at the Dana Open, we had Linn Grant doing Linn Grant things. She hasn't necessarily performed at the tippy top of her game given her talent level, but I think when you have a course that has wide open fairways, which this course in Ohio did, it's an opportunity for her to use her length. She hits a big swooping, draw, and it's
Mhm.
an opportunity for her to, just let air it out, hit some greens. She was clearly on fire with the putter. She was joining some crazy putts, left hand low. What do you think about Linn Grant and her bursting onto the scene a couple years ago at the Swedish Open mixed, I think it was, with the men, you know, dominating? What do you think
Yeah.
about her game and long term prospects?
I mean, it's a cheat code, really. Because, you saw she shot a 62 the second day and went, 9 under, meaning literally it looked like she did it, just like half sleep. When she gets it going, it's really hard to beat her, especially on the LPGA, where length isn't exactly, the biggest kind of like attribute for golfers out there. So when you can bring length with accuracy and then actually have the putter working, you saw it. She won it running away. She pretty much sewed it up Friday. She was up
Six
four,
shots?
five. Yeah, she was up six most of it. And
Yeah.
then like when I finally watched it, it was 18, a couple people at 12, and then a lot of people that were, just kind of bordering at double digits under. So, I mean, what
Yeah.
more needs to be
She
said?
just
She has the highlights already for it.
Yeah, she just couldn't lose it. I mean, she just had to
Right.
play a solid round, which she was 3 under today, just to kind of keep everybody at bay. Um, as a side note, Allison Corpy's winner of the U.S. Open last week at Pebble Beach, second place, played well again.
Yeah.
Had a bounce back after I'm sure a whirlwind week. Said she barely slept, woke up just kind of in disbelief that this was her new life. So shout out to her for backing it up with the second place this week,
Yeah.
and not losing with any shame. I mean, she performed and wasn't like she gave it away, and she
Right.
was birdieing herself. So shout out to her. I think we have a new star on our hands.
Yeah.
Um, solid game. I don't know. I don't love her swing, but people can get it done in different ways. It's just kind of she just gets the job done,
Right.
and so shout out to her. Shout out to Sweden. So again, with the mention of Linn Grant over on the PGA Tour, we have a guy named Vincent Herman with two R's. That first time seeing him and just impressed. Today was the first day I got to catch any of the coverage of the Barbasol, and I liked his swing. Powerful dude, but it showed on 18. It's hard to win golf tournaments.
Yeah.
Tightened up off the tee. I want to say both in the regulation and the first playoff hole. He barely snuck in a putt for bogey. During regulation to get himself into a playoff. Didn't have the most confident tee shot in the playoff, but his opponent had a work. He was in a tough lie on the right hand side in the rough, kind of hacked it out. So they went bogey par to finish out, and another guy, another player from Sweden to win in the same week as Linn Grant. There's some talent over there. I don't know what they got in the water, but
Right.
Henrik Stenson really kind of started it off in terms of awareness of Swedish golfers, but they're looking young and talented over there. Outside of like Korea, I don't think there's a lot of countries dominating golf I mean, it's just crazy internationally.
Definitely.
So that bodes well for kind of some Solheim Cup and Ryder Cups down the line. So I don't know. Did you get to catch any coverage today?
Not today. I mixed in some when, just off like the replays and stuff. And I guess I just didn't really have that much attention on it because once again, I'm looking at the leaderboard and I'm like, who are these people? I noticed maybe there was like DeJager. I recognize that name. Then it
Yeah.
was a bunch of like just, PGA stalwarts that had kind of like just really kind of just needed a start, like that secondary event type deal.
Bro, if there's a secondary event, Lucas Glover is competing. Let me just say that.
I'm sitting here like that boy, man. Lucas Glover, he gonna find a
He's
way to make some money,
he's high on that second tier of just like
right? B
week
list here,
off
C
week
list,
events. Yes. And I was noticing how like he's got some massive hands, bro. Like him
right?
holding the golf club looks like a little toothpick in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
But I love his game is solid. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Homeboy has recently switched to the long putter, and he's definitely anchoring. He was leaning on that shit so hard. I'm like, can somebody please say something? I mean,
Hey,
leaning on the top of that shaft.
yeah, been on. He went to the long putter too. He's using the
It
chest
showed
putter
up.
too. Mm-hmm.
It showed up. I love Ben On's game.
I love his
He
swing.
struggled.
That's
I
crazy.
do. He struggled for a couple of years and kind of, fought his way back up from the Corn Ferry. But Ben On performed this week on the Scottish Open as well. But yeah,
Definitely.
Barbasol was tough. It was only, again, there was nothing much else on. Scottish Open
Yeah.
was tape delayed and watched that earlier in the day. Watched the day. It was a good flow of golf. I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like you know, is it the most high quality stuff? And it was a mixed event. So I think the
Right.
interesting part of the Barbasol this week was that, you had the DP World Tour guys playing over there, getting some starts, had a chance for a full year of a PGA Tour exemption, full
Mm-hmm.
2 years on the DP World Tour. So we've talked about the criticism of kind of the DP World Tour fading into the background. And if this is a way to get them some starts overseas and exposure to some higher level golf, I'm all for it. And honestly,
Right.
a lot of guys on that leaderboard took advantage of it. A lot of international flags in the top 10. And so I thought it was a good use of the week and being able, while most of the PGA Tour players were overseas, which I didn't even know that was just a straight PGA Tour event. They didn't even kind of call the Scottish Open a mixed event. It was just straight PGA Tour. So good opportunity for the DP World Tour guys to come over here, get a start on U.S. soil. So that was neat. The first time that I can remember that they had that many international players in the mix. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about that? Now, would you like to see more of that in these kind of, slower, lower field events?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it couldn't hurt it. I mean, and again, top 75 PGA, that next level, that the PGA has like that top 100 or whatever. I mean,
Mhm.
that 100 to that 101 to 175 number, and then top 75 from the DP World Tour that didn't qualify for like the main tour event or whatnot. I mean, what's wrong with that? That's 150 right there. You make it a 2-day cut. Same old, same old. I think it's just very unfortunate because I feel like when there's that relegated event that the PGA has going on when they have a star event, it's just they're competing with a lot of stuff. Because I feel like I had more coverage of the American Century Championship than I did of the
Yeah,
Barbasol, to be honest with you. And
yeah,
it's both fun and it's goofy because it's like, well, I mean, I want to see Steph Curry make that hole in one. I absolutely do. Love it. It was a great scene. But like, why
yeah.
can I not watch 3 hours of freaking, Lucas Glover try to make his comeback or whatnot? I mean, I just want it
Yeah.
to be a good mix, and I want to be able to see it all. Like.
Yeah, the Century got clowned in my group chats on my golf group chat. So they were just like, those
Truly.
dudes can join our group. They were like they're out there three putting.
Seriously,
It's not
it was a
that good.
joke, bro.
It's very interesting also to see kind of low the backwards trajectory of like a Tony Romo. A few years ago, they were hollering about how close he was to being able to compete professionally, whether it just be Corn Ferry, getting some
Yeah,
starts on the PGA Tour, missing cuts. Dude look haggard out there. I mean, like, he's still above average, but it just also, again, shows how big the gap is from even your best amateur who's
right.
a stick to the pros, that's not even a realistic thing. And I don't know, it feels like he's aged about 10 years in the
Yeah.
last 2 years. He looked beat down. I don't
Oh,
know.
he's complete dad mode now. Bro is a dad and announcer. I mean, to be honest with you though, kind of makes sense. You top dog now. You next in line with Jim Nantz at CBS as far as football goes. So they probably had him either in some type of tutelage, some type of like, yo, look, you need to be putting in this work. If you're gonna be our next guy up, like we need you to remain the next guy up. So they probably
Yeah.
honestly had him going to work to earn that money, which is respectable. But again, it's like,
Well, yeah, because he at one point he started mailing it in, and the
right,
commentary, when he burst onto the scene, he was calling out plays and telling us what was going to happen before it happened. And then there was a couple of years in between, where it just looked like he was just showing up on Saturday afternoons and like, hey, where do y'all want me to be on Sunday?
mm-hmm,
And it looked like, yeah, there were some discussions in the background. So you're probably right on that he's really had to dig back in and hone his craft in and not just rely on knowledge. He was freshly out of the game, and things
right,
were probably new, and now he's got to probably study as the game continues to evolve. And so
mm-hmm,
not as getting many his reps out in on the golf course and actually having to put in some work. Jim Natson's, of course, the consummate pro. So
for sure.
he's
Stays
got
prepared.
years, and he's got years in the game, and Romo's still just the young buck on the lot. So
Three sport,
um,
three sport Hall of Famer, Jim Nantz. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, just check the numbers. Golly,
Yeah,
just check them.
Jim Nance undefeated, man, just solid
Yeah,
dude, and alum, right? So he's a
always
coup.
and
So
forever. Go Cougs.
sh- shout out to Jim Nance. All right, you were right. This was a little bit of light work for today. Any randomness you got to close us out for the day?
Yeah, even better. Two former. I don't like to just throw our high school out there like that, but a former Red Oak High School alum just dropped the season high for the summer league, and this none other than a U of H Coug as well. Marcus Sasser dropped a 40-ball Jamal today in summer league. So random kudos to my man.
Shout out to Red Oak High School and shout out to U of H, man. Look at us.
You know,
look at that.
Every now and again.
That's a good call out to it. Something's in the Red Oak water.
Hey, man, we make it. Hey, finally, man, we finally got something we can claim. Man. Besides Louise Ritter, Olympian from 1940 something, you know.
I know. We won't talk about segregated sports like that. So it's all good.
Right. Oh, shout out Michelle Carter. My fault. You know what? That is my bad. Shout out Michelle Carter. 03 star. Yeah.
UT Olympic star. Yeah, Red Oak's got some athletes. All right, big week next week. We'll be all open, all everything. I think there is again another B tier event running on the PGA Tours
going on. Yeah, some else going on. We'll figure it out.
We'll talk about it, but hopefully we have an amazing Open coming our way. You know, hopefully we see just people competing. I'll be interested to see where, again, I mentioned Rom earlier, hadn't played in weeks. Where is he at? And his game. You know, who else is going to really step up to the plate? Cam Smith won a couple weeks on the Live Tour. You know, does he repeat?
Right.
Who knows?
He in good form.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting as always. Link style, you never know where the ball's going to bounce, and so sometimes it's a little bit luck of the draw. And of course, you got to bring your A game, but sometimes you get the breaks, sometimes you don't. So, Bearder Bros Golf Show. We'll be back next week. We'll catch you then. Peace.